This is World Report. Good morning. I'm Marcia Young. A wave of strikes exposed a gap in Ukraine's air defenses. Russian missiles rained down on Kiev virtually unchallenged overnight. As Julia Chapman tells us, the Ukrainians say they are critically low on the weapons needed to counter them.
The attack began shortly after midnight in Kyiv, explosions ringing out across the city with little warning. At a warehouse outside the capital, firefighters work to put out a blaze. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian strikes hit a construction company, a brewery, and other civilian sites. Rescuers fear there could be people trapped under the rubble. Officials also say an attack on a railway station west of the capital killed several people. Zelensky says those lives could have been saved if the country had more interceptors. Moscow appears to be exploiting Kyiv's vulnerability with more long-range strikes. Ukrainian forces did not shoot down any of the 28 Russian missiles launched overnight. They are running low on ammunition for the Patriot air defense system. Ukraine is negotiating with the US about producing the weapons itself, but President Donald Trump appears reluctant to let that happen. Kyiv resident Tetiana says last night she could feel the lack of air defenses. She says it's becoming impossible to live in the city. Today, Russia also claims to have hit several ships transporting military equipment in the Black Sea. Julia Chapman, CBC News, London.
Votes are still being counted in Michigan. 5 states held primary elections yesterday. The U.S. Democratic Party is being tested as it tries to regain control of the Senate. The party's top candidates are in a tight race in Michigan. Moderate Representative Haley Stevens is up against progressive Abdul El Sayed. Right now, the vote is still too close to call. Many say this primary is a test of the party's future path. Stay the course or build a new one? This seat would be a critical win for Democrats, who are also being limited by redistricting rules in the state. Primaries were also held in Kansas, Missouri, Virginia, and Washington. The U.S. State Department says it is shutting down 5 foreign missions. One is in the U.S. consulate in Winnipeg. Businesses on both sides of the border are worried. The downsizing of the United States' economic footprint and trade tariffs are already having an impact on their bottom lines. The CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco has the details.
It's useful to have feet on the ground.
For 20 years, Brad Kirbyson worked at the United States consulate in Winnipeg. It opened in 2001, covering the area between Toronto and Calgary.
It's a lot of geography, a lot of people, and a lot of issues that it's very hard to address from that distance.
The office doesn't handle visas or passports. Its key role to promote business and trade with Canada. Now the U.S. Department of State is transferring those responsibilities to its embassy in Ottawa, closing Winnipeg in a bid to streamline operations. Brian Peeler, with the Department of Political Science at the University of Manitoba, says it's a bigger loss for Americans.
Giving up a set of eyes and ears on a province that it's currently making sectoral specific trade decisions.
Andre Brown with Winnipeg's World Trade Center says Manitoba businesses will also bear the brunt. The U.S. consulate has helped them set up across the border. Hydro exports, agricultural supply chains, sales of critical minerals from Manitoba, now left without a direct advocate in the U.S. economy.
Who's now informing the U.S. ambassador in Ottawa on what's going on here?
The State Department says its priorities in Canada remain steadfast. It's unclear when the consulate will stop operating. Santiago Arias Orozco, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is back in Washington, D.C. He's expected to meet with American senators and key U.S. industry leaders. LeBlanc is also meeting with Canada's negotiating team, including Chief Trade Negotiator Janice Charette. The visit comes ahead of the U.S.'s August 19 tariff deadline. If a deal between the countries is not reached by then, 50% tariffs will go into effect on Canadian goods. 116 wildfires are burning across British Columbia. Officials are assessing the damage after a day of relative calm. So far, hundreds of properties have been destroyed. And as the CBC's Caroline Bargut reports, officials are warning wildfire season has weeks to go.
Basically, I grabbed my marriage license, I grabbed a few odds and ends and some mementos, and I was out of there.
When Arlene Jerva saw wildfires moving towards her home on the main Okanagan Indian Reserve, she knew it was time to go. She later saw a video posted on social media of her home burned to the ground, one of about 230 properties destroyed by the Bradley Creek fire.
It's very, very difficult. We're trying to just stay as positive as we can, and we're just trying to not think about it, frankly.
The Bear Lake wildfire burning near the village of Clinton, northwest of Kamloops, has destroyed about 120 properties, and damage assessments are still being done. Colton Davies is with the Thompson-Nicola Regional District.
There were probably dozens of additional structure losses that were just confirmed on Monday. And so we're going through the process now of notifying property owners that haven't been notified. We don't rush anyone through those phone calls, so sometimes they take 20 minutes, sometimes they take an hour.
BC's Forestry Minister Ravi Parmar says this has been a difficult fire season and it's just getting started.
August and September are often the most active period for wildfire in our province. We know the BC Wildfire Service almost certainly has several weeks of high intensity work left before the wildfire season has settled.
He says British Columbians in fire-prone areas should stay up to date and pack a bag just in case they too will have to leave. Caroline Bargood, CBC News, Vernon, BC.
Artificial intelligence is transforming many industries, including farming. A Farm Credit Canada report examines how it can help Canada's agriculture sector grow in areas like irrigation, herd health, and supply routes. Experts have warned, though, about environmental risks. Max Bacco talked to some Newfoundland and Labrador farmers ready to reap the benefits.
I think AI is probably the next big step for farming.
From his farm in western Newfoundland, Wayne Simmons is looking toward the future. From entrenched tech like GPS mapping to new developments like generative AI to help farmers plan, troubleshoot, and figure out how to save money in a world of rising costs.
I think it's got to happen. If we want to stay competitive in the world market, we definitely have to adapt because the world is adapting.
Farmers are paying more for almost everything, including feed, fertilizer, and fuel to run their operations. So for people like Scott Neary, who runs an indoor farm in St. John's, technology is a lifeline.
So if we're not finding ways to not only increase our own competitiveness, but also stay competitive, then I think that's going to be a big problem for food security. So I think that's why it's so important for them to almost need to adopt AI.
Kelly Bronson, an agriculture and AI expert at the University of Ottawa, says artificial intelligence won't solve that fundamental problem in the food system.
We have methods for generating food, more local and community-based food security in ways that don't harm the environment.
While bringing high technology into a traditional practice is still a debate among industry leaders, both Simmons and Neary believe it's not a question of if it will happen, but when. Max Bacco, CBC News, St. John's.
One of Canada's most recognized journalists, Lloyd Robertson, is dead. He was 92. Lloyd Robertson's death was announced by CTV News. He was the evening news anchor for more than 35 years there. Susan Ormiston looks back at his career and his legacy.
Good evening. Lloyd Robertson for CBC News.
He was a steady voice in some turbulent times.
Mr. Laporte's body was found in the trunk of an abandoned car outside Montreal,
guiding Canadians through big moments in history.
One small step for man.
Kahalalium la Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rachaha Kodash. As it is written, let the elders, the rural, be counted worthy of the honors, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine, which are the Presbyterian of Grey Millstone, GMS, beginning with the elder apostles, elder bishops, and the elders are known. Peace and salutation to all the outcome of the elect. May Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rachaha Kodash Rakatham. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, whom the world only calls God. Yahweh means He to be, He is, He exists. That's the true power of heaven and earth. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, His name is Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai is the true name of His only begotten Son, whom the world only calls JC. Yahweh Shai means the deliverer or His Savior or His salvation. It's the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. The Messiah came to die for the sins of Israel, beginning the elect. His name is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Naruchah Kodash, which is Spirit Holy. These are the names they're supposed to call upon and pray to, especially so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. No, you want the heathen, and may look like the heathen, but still then goes back to the patriarchy of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob on your father's side. Shalom, Sensei Vacharwala. My name is Gabor of the Ofo election from the Canadian Province in Toronto. Okay, today is August the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Another day closer to deliverance of the letter of Israel and the destruction of Babylon the Great, aka America, which America and the state of Israel are going to be destroyed. See the biblical prophecy because of all the wickedness and all the evil that they've done on the earth. That's that it tells that the rich that the city of Babylon have reached unto the heavens. So therefore, the Most High is going to start bringing judgment, ultimately bring that judgment upon America through the nuclear destruction. Okay, when these countries like they have missile capabilities like Russia, Iran, North Korea, China, okay, and all the allies, they're going to shoot their missiles upon America to destroy it, as well as Israel. Okay, but Israel is going to be restored and it's going to be rebuilt back up again. It's going to be held as the headquarters of the kingdom of heaven and the Lord Yahweh Shai. However, America is going to remain a desolate wilderness. It's going to be burning for a very long time. It's going to be an example to the nations of what not to be. Okay, so going into it, it's going to be more news report, only more news report as you said on the radio just now, CBC radio. They're mentioning the first thing they mentioned was basically like the war over there in Ukraine that's still going on. Okay, you got Russia still bombing Ukraine, and Ukraine they're suffering loss. Okay, because they don't have those interceptors, basically to block the missiles, or the missiles, the drones being shot and the rockets being shot. So the Ukrainians, they're crying to Babylon, America, to come and aid them. Ultimately, allow them to make their own interceptors so that they can block those bombs, right? This is indicative to the times we're living in. It tells you what that there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. Lord Yahweh told us in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, and as a sign to know that in the last days there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. Okay, in various places. So it also talks about how the fire shall be often sent out. That's in the book of as in Second Esdras. It says the fire shall often be sent out, and the fires over out here in Canada in BC are still raging. Actually, what's interesting is that this is actually the beginning of the fire season. Okay, and it gets worse and worse every year. It's not getting better. Okay, it's not slowing down. It's only speeding up. Over there in Europe, they're experiencing a lot of fires as well. I believe it's Spain and France. Okay, they're going through the fire. They're going through the wildfires. Okay, so all these are signs show that we are living in the end, man. We're living in the end time before Lord Yahweh comes. So we're watching, we're listening, we're praying. Okay, doing our due diligence as we're supposed to. Okay, you should be doing the same thing too. Okay, also, like it looks like once again in Babylon, America is still like laying tariffs upon Canada. And, of course, America, being Babylon the Great, has the power, man, because ultimately America is the biggest consuming nation in the whole world. That's also show you that America is in Babylon the Great. America is where all these nations come to do their trade, okay, their business. Okay, that's who they want to be, in a line, that's who these nations want to be able to profit from America, which goes into like that nature of America being a whore. Okay, the great whore Babylon, right? So now, like they're trying to lay tariffs on Canada. Canada is scrambling, trying to make amends so that doesn't happen. All right, you have the prime minister over here in Canada, right? It's like he's people are looking up to him to basically to have it to where that they're able to to still conduct business with America. But it all lays upon the cruel Lord himself, Trump. Which of course Trump is just a puppet. And all this is basically designed to bring in the evil times, the bad times. Okay. Also like mentioned basically how they want to start integrating AI into farming, which is like, of course this is where we can't stop this, man. There's people these people trying to come against the so-called data centers. Okay, the so-called basically coming against trying to trying to check these companies that are going to AI, but it can't it's too late for you. Okay, you have no more rights, no more privileges. You have no say. Okay, all those rights they tell you had, those were all you know, that was all a lie, man. That was all a deceit. So now you have to basically deal with this AI, basically being going mainstream, and now it's everywhere. It's also going to also point towards the mark of the beast. Okay, which that's the system that we're fastly approaching. Okay, when Israel Edom brings in the digital system that's going to be backed up with a chip, or that's going to be backed up by AI, which AI, artificial intelligence, it's really a demon, right? Is that this that the elites, Israel Edom, is conjuring up demons and like trying have you try these demons, come out and actually help them, in the enterprise. You have AI, they now trying to go to generative AI, AGI, right? Which is going to be another step of advancement into the AI. They say they're going to basically they want to like integrate AI with farming, which ultimately is going to go into like basically having it to where even over there in New York, East came out. I was listening to the brothers. The mayor of New York is trying to have it to where the residents of New York get like cheap groceries or affordable groceries, but they have to show proof that they are residents, or they have to show ID for you to be able to partake in this. So this is where AI comes in. AI is going to basically be put in charge, to basically hold up the grid. Okay, because AI is does not need like to sleep or to to breaks like other people do, and AI is taking over, man. You see, so all these are pointing towards the coming new world order. Okay, the so-called new world order where Israel Edom is going to have it to where everything's gonna go green, everything's gonna be on digital. Okay, the for you to eat, for you to partake in society, you have to be able to to be tracked, traced, right? And make sure everything is tracked and traced, and everything is basically spent wisely. How much water you use, how much um you know how much resources you use, power, how much electricity you use. All this is going to be quantified. Okay, it's going to be charged on you. Okay, it's coming to a time where basically everything is going to be nickel and dimed. Okay, so we need to warn you to let you know that this is time we're coming into. Of course, not forget mention about the time of Jacob trouble. Okay, time like never before. That's the book of Jeremiah 30, chapter 7th verse. All right, it's gonna be so bad to a point where Allah Yahweh said that if those that are not shortened, they should they have to be saved. For the leg's sake, those that are gonna be shortened. So that's why you have to admonish you to repent and to get right. Ultimately to not take them off the beast, which is a chip. Okay, no matter what. So if you take it, you're gonna be destroyed. Not coming destruction. Okay. Excuse me. So yeah, man. All these things are happening. And it's all praise the Heavenly Father. Man. Things are happening, man. Things are, it's kind of like a slow summer. Nothing really has been happening, as far as like major prophecy. But everything, let's believe everything is happening, behind the scenes. The things are getting put in place so that they can bring about time of Jacob's trouble. Like I said, ultimately also going to the implementation of the mark of the beast. Okay, so just keep watching, keep praying, and ultimately, continue on, with long suffering, man. Estamos aqui no tempo separado, eu vou para o Shai, você como a Sharola, o Abad Babal, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.